What's going on, you guys? This is Heartbeat at the Movies, and we are fresh out of Dune Part 2.
We're a little late to the game to seeing the Dune series, or at least the first one. We just watched it Sunday. But knowing that Dune Part 2 was coming out, we really wanted to get our own perspective on what the first one was about, just because there was definitely a lot of negative comments or like reviews when it came to the first one, at least from what I heard from people. And what I think people didn't really like it was because it was just like a slow build in this movie. It wasn't like really jam-packed with a lot of action. I don't know if that's what the people were expecting, but it wasn't a full story. You know what I mean? It built the characters and let you know who these people were, where they came from, what they were fighting for, what was important to them. Also, another thing that I've heard was people were mad that Zendaya in the first one wasn't, like, I guess, in the movie so much as like the main character. And I feel like she did perfect in the role, like as far as where she needed to be. She, again, how they put her in, set up for the second one.
Yeah, if you expect a full movie out of Part 1, I can see how you may be disappointed with it. When this movie dropped, there was no guarantee for a Part 2, so that was already a risk in itself. But it almost fell into the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse situation where it's not a full story yet until Part 2 came out, in which we went ahead and saw today. So I'm excited to review this. I'm excited to jump in and let you know how we felt about it. Many reviews have came in, great things being said about Dune. I wanted to make sure that I got my own perspective. So I weaved, rattled, I rolled, I got out the way. So I made sure I could give you guys a clear perspective on how this film was.
Let's get into it.
Have you ever had a dream about your first ride?
As you guys know, we are fresh from seeing Dune Part 2 in IMAX. I might add. That movie is a runtime of 2 hours and 46 minutes. It is directed by Denis Villeneuve. Please, I'm sorry if I said your last name wrong. But it's starring Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah, it's stacked. Part 1 was a stacked cast. Part 2 is just as much. But what I liked about Part 2 is that we got to see the cast excel a little bit more. I think a lot of the dislike of Part 1 is that you saw a lot of these names on the list, but you really didn't see them and their acting chops just yet. It was really Chalamet's show.
Right.
It really was. Part 1. Part 2 it was as well, but Part 1, it was really introducing him to the world and what was going on. All right, you got a young man coming into his own. He is now on this planet, no family, no house anymore, and he's basically trying to live through this prophecy. One thing I could really say that they really emphasize is between religion and state. I feel like that was a big point of emphasis in the movie, but basically it's a journey of him learning the betrayals, learning about his mother's past and his past in itself, and the overall connection of why they believe he's the one and the one to lead the people overall. You could even feel the burden of leadership weighing on him as the people are looking at him, as people are looking for his guidance. And it gives you that true question is, what do you do when leadership is thrust upon you? They expanded on the houses, the order of hierarchy. There's always going to be times where you might be challenged, but not challenged in the way that you believe. And sometimes your belief isn't challenged. Then what do you do at that point?
All that pressure that he had on him from the Freeman people, where they had this expectation of who he was, and he didn't even believe, what they were saying. He just was like, I'm not who you think I am. I'm literally Paul Atreides trying to just go side by side with you guys and join and live the way you guys live.
There's a lot of espionage that goes through it as well. There's a underlying group, let me just put it that way, that is really running the show behind the scenes, but you You always have to keep that in mind through this entire runtime. I feel like they try to play you with smoke and mirrors a little bit.
I truly enjoyed this movie. It was long, I'm not gonna lie. It was really long, but majority of the movie was captivating. It just had you engaged. That's the word I want to use. It had you engaged and just wanting to know what was happening, or things were unraveling, the truths were unraveling. Some scenes were just like a mind blow. Like you weren't expecting. Boy, I don't know if it's because we saw it in IMAX, but baby, it made everything intense. You hear me? I think we've seen a movie in IMAX before, but I think that's a long time ago. Seeing Dune in IMAX is a must. It just made the movie, in my opinion, 10 times better. You just got like a true feel of like you were in the movie. Y'all, one of the characters in this movie, you'll see him. And when I give you this reference, I hope y'all know. I hope y'all seen this movie, first of all. But one of the characters in Dune Part 2, but it reminds me of the character from Powder. I hope y'all seen that movie. Came out in 95. If y'all know what I'm talking about, please let me know down below.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning, it let the characters shine in this one. And yes, Zendaya is in it a lot more than she is in Part 1, like we thought was going to happen. But they have to finish the story. That's one thing I hope.
I have to finish the story.
That the producers and writers and the studio itself understands that we're in this. Definitely have to see it all the way through now. The visuals come right back at it again. When you're in, you can't make sand look pretty intriguing, but this movie does. I know a desert isn't somewhere ideal for people, but they actually make this look like somewhere that you're okay with living with. But if you really sit back and look at the conditions, you're like, this is humanity at itself. Like we're dead in the water, but with no water because we're in the desert.
Right. But another thing that I like was with the the Freeman people, is the fact that these people are really laying up in the sand and they have like these little things that they're breathing fresh air out of. It's ridiculous. So when they have like their fight scenes, like these people literally are just laying flat in the sand. You can't see them. And then they just jump out of nowhere. It's amazing.
I know the runtime might scare a couple folks, but understand there's this true story that has to be told and a world that has to be built around it. And you don't want to cut corners on something like this. You want to ensure that you're getting each dialogue, because when they come crashing course together, it makes complete sense. Why they're in this room, why we're having this conversation, why this is going down at this point.
But this movie was just so good. I enjoyed every part of it. And I think that this is a must-see in theaters. Even if you guys can't see it in IMAX and you see it in regular theaters, you will not be disappointed. Definitely watch this when it comes out.
Listen, worked a full shift. All right, got some game plans done for the day, and we walked in there and I was entertained. So understand, go in with an open mind, but do not go in without seeing Part 1.
Oh,
this
yes,
is your warning
for sure.
now. This is your warning. So other than that, I appreciate y'all. If this is you and you ended up at the end of the video, please be part of our group, be part of our family. Go ahead and subscribe down low, and we'll go ahead and see you guys in the next one. This is Heartbeat at the Movies.
Bye.